much.
Okay, so first of all, thank you for coming on the podcast today. You must be super excited. Big release December 22nd in the US, The Iron Claw. You must be beside yourself.
I am. It's definitely the biggest. I would say probably like the biggest thing I've ever done. So yeah, I'm super excited, as you can imagine.
Yeah, I've had so many cinematographers on, and I just love what you guys do. I mean, you guys bring it to. I mean, you are our vision. Like what you see is what we see, and I just think your job is so important. Talk about your rapport with Sean Durkin a little bit, right? Because you guys worked with each other on The Nest. Was it? Is that what? Is that? Yeah, and clearly he thinks a lot of you. I mean, if you would bring you along to something this major, the magnitude of this movie, right?
Um, so Sean had a company many years ago with two of his friends, which was called Borderline Films, and they were making amazing movies together in rotation. So if one of it was three guys, if one of them was directing, the other two was producing,
Gotcha.
and they had some amazing work. And some of those films were in the Cannes Film Festival when I had a short film, and then later some features also in the Cannes Film Festival, and they were actually aware of the films I was shooting, and I also was super aware of the films they were doing.
Right.
So from afar, we kind of knew about each other. And then Sean had a project in the UK after he shot his first feature, which was called Southcliffe. It was a mini series, and he asked me to do it, which was basically a dream come true for me because I was so excited to work with him.
Right.
And we shot that miniseries in the UK. That was our first project. And then a couple of years later, he came back to the UK to do The Nest, which was a beautiful film that I
Yeah.
really love. And we really, I think on that movie, we really grew together. Like we really, that was like a beautiful collaboration, like as good as it gets, I think, in many ways. And then while we were doing that film, he already mentioned the idea for Iron Claw, and we already started talking about it. So it was a long process, but a
Yeah.
beautiful. It's like start of some really. I feel it's like a really special collaboration.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome to hear stories like that and somebody that shares the vision. I mean, you guys are like a great team. Let me ask you this before we hop into the Iron Claw. What were your early influences, besides as far as movies you loved or maybe a
Whew.
cinematographer you envied? I mean, I can't let you off the hook without asking this. I almost have to ask you this.
It's a little bit like asking me what my favorite color was. Like it's
Right, right.
it's 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 endless. So it's like there's so many movies that shaped me. As a kid growing up in communist Hungary, because I was 13 when communism collapsed, and there was like a big change.
Right.
But it was like in the early 80s we had access to, like to films from abroad, and that was amazing. Like I went to the cinema whenever I could, and watching everything from Jackie Chan to Star Wars, and Star Wars was a huge influence, like a huge influence, like the original trilogy, and Indiana Jones, and like
Yeah, yeah.
as a kid, you go and watch everything you can, and I just enjoyed watching movies tremendously. And when I was growing up, I started to be interested in what this actually is, like what is cinema, and what is, like, oh, there is actually European films, and there's actually films from the 50s and then 40s, 30s, like, oh my god, this is a 100-year-old art form. So like let's see what the Lumieres did. And then and then I got into the film school. There was only one film school back then, which was an amazing film school, and so that the world opened up. Like suddenly I had history of cinema classes every week, and history of Hungarian cinema. So suddenly, like, you're just blown away. So I don't think I can say like one name or one
Right, right.
one. It is so everything from Buster Keaton to, David Fincher. Like it's endless. It's
Yeah,
endless.
yeah. Deakins is a name I hear a lot from cinematographers, and
Dickens, he's a DP whose work is impeccable, and
yeah,
he's
yeah,
he's been doing impeccable work for decades,
yeah,
and you cannot find a movie that he did that is like,
yeah. It's all really good. Yeah, it's
it's
all like a work of art.
always, and
Yeah,
it's amazing. But there are other amazing cinematographers from all over the world that whose work is as influential as
it's amazing,
can be.
Matthias. It's amazing because like you and Sean have this rapport. It's amazing how many directors have that go-to cinematographer. Right? They go into a project, they're bringing along the person that sees the vision like they see it, the person they're comfortable with. It's a lot more common than I think people think. Like, and that must be a good feeling for you because listen, you guys are I'm not saying it's going to be this way forever, but hey, so far so good.
I think it comes down to the fact that it's so many things that are important. Like I think the one major thing is communication.
Yeah,
When Sean says something, I know exactly what he means. Our references are very similar. I understand when he says, "Oh, I need," even when he cannot describe something super precisely. I think by now I really know what he wants,
right,
and I
right.
and I can offer up ideas, and he can choose, like, oh, what if we do this, or what if we do this, or what if we do this, and he can say, maybe that. Also, taste is a huge factor. What I think is a good image, he thinks is a good image, and what he thinks is a good image, I think it's a good image. What he thinks is a great location, I think it's a great location. When I say something that's not right, he knows what I mean. So it's kind of like shorthands and taste and similar sensibilities. And I think although our backgrounds are super different, there
Yeah,
is this weird connection that we just align so well, and I can finish his sentences. He even he that he sometimes he doesn't even have to say anything. Like, I know what he thinks. I know what he like. We do a rehearsal and we kind of set something up, and I'm like, you don't like this, and I know why, and I do something else, and then
yeah,
it's suddenly it's great, and like it's simple as that. And I think once a director finds a collaborator like that, I think it just streamlines the process. There's no misunderstandings. There's no like extra, oh, I have to explain this to you again. None of that. So it just makes the whole thing simpler, and also hopefully, like when he has something in mind, I don't just deliver, but I do something even better,
right,
and then
right.
that's great. If that happens, I feel that I'm doing my job.
Yeah, that's terrific. And let's get into the Iron Claw. I can't even imagine, right? So for those listening who maybe aren't familiar with this story, it's basically about the Von Erich family. Just quickly, there are roughly six brothers. There's Kevin, David, Mike, Chris, Carrie, Jack Jr. Um, Matthias, did you get emotional a lot behind the camera during this? Because this story is a tragic one. Like, and I get it, you're a professional. I don't know. There's some there. I haven't seen the movie yet, so I can't comment on it. But I have to believe the emotions were running pretty damn high with this movie.
Uh, yeah, yes.
Yeah,
I mean, the simple answer is absolutely, and the emotions were high because we had such an amazing cast. Like, our cast was so brilliant. Like, every single one of them were so amazing in what they were doing, and such, when you are surrounded by a group of actors, and they're not just amazing actors but amazing human beings, and the way they were interacting with each other, not just on camera but also off camera, it was just a beautiful thing for me to see. And yes, it's a very, very tragic, sometimes very tragic story, but I think while we're making a movie like this, it would be a mistake to kind of like get over emotional,
right, right.
because then that would kind of push away push us away from like staying super focused making sure that we capture that performance as best as we can. So in a way, like I kind of try to keep a little bit of distance and not get over emotional in a moment, because if I don't focus on what I'm doing, and I'm not, if I'm not 100% there making sure that everything is perfect or as good as it can be, then I'm not doing my job well, I think.
No, I get it.
So
I get it.
in a strange way, I have to kind of, although I'm experiencing something, I do have to separate myself a little bit.
Yeah, and I should say that for those listening who aren't familiar with the story, that it's tragic how many of these children and young adults died. Jack Jr. gets electrocuted at 6. Kerry shoots himself. Chris shoots himself. Mike had an overdose. David had something go wrong with his intestines. Kevin is the only one alive, and the tragedy in that is he survives knowing what happens to all his brothers, but still has this like unbelievable optimism. Is super grateful to God, which I don't know that I would be. I think that's who I would blame, even though it's not right. And Zac Efron plays Kevin for those listening. But yeah, I don't know how you and how Sean can approach making a story with this, because, like you said, you don't want to get overly emotional, but like I don't know how you approach it. What angle? There's so much here. The father, Fritz, he lives to 68. He's divorced. He gets cancer, loses 5 children. I mean, where do you start with this, Matthias? Where do you start?
I mean, it's it comes down to good writing. It's just good writing. I mean, Sean took this incredible, heartbreaking story and turned it into something that can work in 2 hours and 15 minutes. And of course, it doesn't have the um, it doesn't want to be a documentary. It doesn't have to be super
Right.
precisely following each and every turn in the story, but it gives you a very, very good understanding of what the story was. And also what I think is even more important, it creates something that's universal. Like you watch this, even if you're not like a wrestling fan, even if you didn't know anything about the Von Erichs, you watch this film and you look at father son relationships, or mother son relationships, or brother
Yeah.
relationships,
Yeah.
and you find yourself, you find your family, you find your relatives, and you see issues, you can reflect on them, and it's a universal film. I feel it's really, it's not necessarily about, I mean, it's using this very specific story, but what it talks about is way more universal.
Matthias, what did you come away with? What were your final feelings and thoughts about the Von Erich family and the entire story?
I mean, listen, I think what is amazing about filmmaking and literature is that you take any person, and if you dig deep enough in in any person's story, you find such tragic moments, such sad, turn of events, and also you find extreme happiness and beauty. And I think like this, the story of the Von Erichs is such a extreme of what
Yeah.
can happen to a family,
Yes.
that it's like it just really, really gives you an understanding of, hopefully, like how lucky we are not to go through what they went through. And it's I think it's, again, and that's why I feel it's a universal film. You don't have to know anything about wrestling to
Right.
love this
Right.
film. You don't have to know about anything specifically about this, because you're still gonna take so much away.
Yeah. And what was the? That's a great point, by the way. What was the hardest part for you filming this? What was the hardest? Was there a difficulty that you? I'm sure there's little obstacles here or big obstacles here and there. Was there a one single hard part for you as a cinematographer?
I don't know. I mean, obviously, the whole wrestling scenes were something. I mean, I have to admit, I did not know anything about wrestling before
Yeah.
I read this. So before I read the script, or
Right.
before I started to talk about this with Sean, and then obviously in prep. We started to watch hours and hours and hours of videos of the actual fights, and I really dug myself into this. But what was really amazing is to shoot the fight scenes. I mean, they were, just to see these actors perform, like, the physicality, the stunt elements, they were unbelievable, like really, really amazing to
I
see
bet. Yeah.
Zach suddenly fly off a rope and jump onto something over the camera. Like, I could not believe. And Jeremy, like, watching a choreography, sitting in the corner, and then, okay, I can do this, and then he comes onto the ring, and he does it, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I cannot believe what I'm seeing. And it was amazing. I mean, listen, every film that ever gets made is, and all the people in it are gonna complain about, oh, we didn't have enough time, and we could have used a little bit more money,
Mm.
to oh, we needed this, we needed that. That's always true. I think we had an amazing team and an amazing support from our producers. So yeah, I mean, I can't say like, oh, what this specifically was. There was something. I don't know.
Yeah.
This is what it is.
It's good that you probably didn't know anything about wrestling, because I feel like, the wrestling part of it, for those that, there's going to be a lot of wrestling fans that come watch this. It's just such I think as I get older, I realize what a tough way of life being a wrestler was. We're kids. We used to think, oh, this must be fun. You're on the road for 300 days. The pay is not great unless you're one of the top 5 wrestlers, maybe top 10. You have to take pain meds to recoup and recover. You get addicted. And I think legitimately, like, of all the wrestlers I love, like all my childhood heroes, I don't think there are many left that live beyond 60. Like, I think they're all
Mm,
gone. I Maybe Hulk Hogan's still left and a couple others, but many of them are gone. Like, suicide was a thing, drug abuse, and understandably so. It was a tough way of life. I don't think I appreciated how hard these men and women worked until I got older. And
hmm
the Von Erich story, I think, is what a lot of people are looking forward to, and see how this unplays. What can you say about the movie as far as the way it's shot, the way it looks like? And I'm glad it's not like a documentary type thing. I'm glad it's a story being told. But what can you say about the story and the way it plays out?
I the story or the way it looks, but
Both. That, yeah,
I mean, again, I think Sean's writing is so precise, and it's this the script was written with so much love towards these characters, even though, Fritz, the father figure, is a very problematic and a very complex character, but there's so much love and understanding towards him, as well, and towards all the sons, and then, of course, the mother, and the wife, of Kevin. It just, what I love about Sean is that he loves his characters no matter
yeah,
what,
yeah,
and he understands, and also there's like almost like forgiveness as well. Like, it's like, I'm not gonna blame you. Like, look what happened to you. Look what happened to your sons. But I don't blame you. Like, this is an era, we know you wanted good, and that was the approach, I think. And I think that's such a beautiful way of, like, no judgment. Like, there is no judgment in this in
Do you
this
mean
film.
judgment towards Fritz Von Erich? Is that what you're saying?
Judgment towards Fritz, especially, but also, suicide is,
Yeah,
it is a thing, and, like, why are you doing this? So I don't think there is, it's understanding and it's empathy, which is, I think, the core values of this script. And then, that obviously guides the film, and I hope that the film is like this. There was so much love toward these characters, and we wanted to make sure that all of these characters are shown in a way where you can feel this love, basically.
yeah. This is a loaded cast. You talked a little about Holt, Zach, Harris Dickinson, Jeremy Allen White. This is totally an unfair question. Is there one perform? And I know you love them all, but is there one performance that you were blown away by? I mean, I'm sure you're blown away by all of them, but is there one that, I mean, as somebody who was shooting this whole thing, was there one that was like, Maybe unforgettable is a better word to say instead of favorite for unforgettable.
I won't be able to pick one. It's when we're shooting a scene with Mora, who
Yeah.
plays the mother, and
Hmm.
she there's a scene where she's in front of a mirror on her own. I mean that's I mean what she did was amazing. There are several scenes with Holt, you know. I mean, and then all the boys. It's and then Lily, of course. I mean, it's I can't. It's I think we were just super spoiled to have all
Hmm.
these amazing actors, and you know, I don't know. I don't think I can pick one.
The reviews are pretty awesome coming out. So, and I hate that because now I have to wait even longer. Not that I expected this to be bad, and I don't really listen to reviewers all the time, but like I'm so mad that I hear all these wonderful things, and I gotta wait till the 22nd. But good things are
Well,
worth the wait, right? You know,
yeah,
um,
yeah.
what's it like when you and Sean, even before the premiere, where was the premiere? Was there one premiere that you both attended?
There was a screening which was kind of like a pre-premiere at Dallas, which is where the story
Oh,
takes
Texas.
place.
That's right. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
this, if I remember correctly, this must have been, I think it was late November, but like, yeah, I don't, or maybe early December. So I was able to attend that, which was a super special moment. Like the Von Erich family, like Kevin's family was there, their
yeah.
friends. It was amazing. All these,
Did you get a chance to meet Kevin?
I like yeah from a
Yeah, like
distance. I
social.
didn't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. It's
I did. Yeah, he was definitely busy meeting other important people. But like I know that Zach had an amazing meeting with him, and I know that he is a huge fan of this film. So if that's the case, I think we did something right.
Oh, I have a feeling you did too, and it's amazing how, like I said, how he turned out. Like he could have gone so many other directions and been so resentful and awful, and he didn't. He chose the way to forgiveness and just find. I don't want to say forgiveness, but he chose the way of maybe optimism is a better word, or religion, and he just found his way, which is unbelievable. What is it like? Take me through this, Matthias. When the two of you, when you and Sean are watching before the premiere, right? You kind of have your final cut, or you're close to your final cut. What's it like just you guys watching that movie, going over it with each other? That's kind of a great moment, right? Two guys with a great rapport, great vision. No, no, or
I
is it,
mean,
or is it like nitpicking? Are you guys being critical, or like what is that
oh,
like?
I mean, right before a film gets released, all you can see are your mistakes and things make how to make it better. Like last minute, like oh, if I do this, if I we cut that, or we would, like VFX, or what if like oh, like that's what you do. Like you just want to make sure that what you allow the audience to see is as best as it can be, and
Yeah,
it's never perfect, and there are always flaws and mistakes, and oh, I wish I did that, oh, I wish, like I'm looking at my own lighting, and I looking at my own operating, and I'm like, oh, why did I do that, why didn't I do something else, or why I chose that solution instead of something else. So it's to be honest, it's painful.
yeah.
Like so when a film gets released, that's the relief, because that this is it, you cannot change anything. This is what it is. People like it, great. People don't like it, you can't do anything about it. But it's good that you're done, and you don't have to like spend endless nights, breaking your head about, oh, I wish I've done that. So no, that's the last couple of weeks
Yeah, yeah.
is not fun. Is not like being super proud about yourself. No.
But I feel like you could drive yourself insane doing that, right? Like you could every night say, "I should have done this." You have to find a way to say, and it's easy for me to say because I didn't do it, but like just kind of break away saying, "Listen, I this is the best product that we have created." Like I think you have to have that mentality, right?
That happens when it's premiere,
Right,
but
right.
until that moment you still have, if you still have a way to fix something or change something, or perfect something, you want to do that. And it's
Where
endless, you're watching every corner of every frame, and
I can't even
Uh,
imagine.
that's filmmaking.
Yeah, yeah. Where was the movie? Was it shot in Texas as well?
No, we shot in Louisiana.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Yeah. I mean, what can you tell people who don't know the story? We kind of went over a little bit, but what can you tell people who are going into this movie not kind of knowing the story? What can they expect? Or maybe even wrestling fans, what can they expect?
I mean,
Is
I,
there let me throw some words. Is there redemption in this movie? Is there, because I'm just I can't, like I said at the beginning, there's so many angles I feel like this movie could have, and I'm not reading any spoilers or anything, so I feel like
mm,
I'm just I'm nitpicking how you and Sean, like, how you approached it. Like, there's so many ways you could have done it.
yes, but I have to say I don't like. I never, whenever I'm involved in a film, like I never like simplify it to a message. I
Right.
never simplify this to, oh, this film is about, and that you say,
Gotcha.
put a
Gotcha.
word there. So it's for me, it's always the detail. Like, okay, this first scene, what is the scene about? Okay, they are saying these things, but actually the scene is something else. It's understanding of the underlying ideas and the whole journey that the film is taking. So I wouldn't be able to. Probably you have to ask Sean about these things
Right.
because
Right.
I'm sure he distilled these ideas to like a line or two. For me, it's way more complex. And I don't know if I can, you know, give you like a good. This film is about this, and this is what you should expect. No, I don't think I can do that. Sorry.
Okay, so I have two last questions for you. So, what did you learn about wrestling? Like now, so remember you said early on, like you didn't know much about, not necessarily just the Von Erich story, right? Just now, what did you come away with? Just your broad knowledge of wrestling and your opinion of wrestling, professional
I
wrestling.
mean, wrestling is a combination of so many things. It's extremely physical. It is super tough, and it is a kind of a certain kind of showmanship that you don't really see anywhere else. And this is a weird combination of being athletic and being a showman
Mm,
and reading the audience and reacting to the audience reactions. Also, with your opponent, like how do you together shape that performance?
right,
But also at the same time, if you get you know thrown off out of the ring, that's gonna hurt. So it's
right,
almost like being a stuntman and like a martial artist and the boxer and the wrestler, athlete, but also you're an actor and a showman, and it's like such a complex, wonderful, and amazing thing that I didn't know about. Like, oh, I didn't even watch this. I didn't really know about this. This was not that in Hungary, in the 80s,
right, right,
90s,
right,
like
right,
we
right.
didn't have this, so I didn't know anything about it. And when I was older, I just didn't know this. Like I didn't watch
Yeah.
any of this.
No, that was a really great answer. And I feel like, even from hearing you say that and then hearing you talk about Zach and the other great performances, like it makes it even that much more special, right? Because we know how tough wrestling is. And for Zach, I'll just say Zach in particular, because he morphed physically. I mean, my God, like he's almost unrecognizable. His body, he's like Jack now. Then he's got to do all the things you just talked about. So I am just so excited for this. Let me ask you this, my final question. Did you do you ever have actors approach you and thank you and because I know cinematographers oftentimes take a lot of requests from actors, right? Could you do this or maybe catch me here or so? Do you have actors often thank you or like are appreciative of your work?
I you know my job is to make sure, like, I think my job is a complex thing, but I
Yeah,
am on set with them, and most of the time I'm the closest person to them as they're performing. So I feel there's like a special relationship because I'm operating the camera, so I have the camera on my shoulder or on whatever, and I'm very very close to them. most of the time. And I really try to be very careful to create an environment around them with my crew. I
Right.
mean, with all the people in the team, to make sure that, they are free to do whatever they want. There's no, there's nothing disturbing them. There's no, nothing that, if I don't need a person around, I can tell them to go away. And of course, I work with real professionals who
Sure.
who
Sure.
understand this, that,
Yeah.
we are here to create like a safe environment for the performances. So, I hope that, they see this, and most of the time, yes, they are very appreciative of our approach as a team, like how they were treated, and how, they understand that we are there for them and not the other way around.
Yeah.
And if I have to ask them anything like super technical or precise, I always try to involve them and explain that, okay, so here what we're trying to achieve is a shot where, you would see you here or there or whatever, but and for that we really need you to hit this mark, or, find that light or something. And when they understand what the idea is, and they like what the idea is, then of course they're gonna make sure that, they do what, we need them to do. And
Yeah.
that's like a fantastic, collaboration.
Yeah. Earlier you mentioned Holt, and you mentioned some great performances. But let me ask you: is there, so when I'm watching the movie, is there a scene? And you mentioned our scene earlier with the mirror and another scene. Is there a scene in particular that you are? I mean, I'm sure you're part of the whole thing, but like you're super proud of, you think a lot about. Is there one scene in particular? Because when I watch the movie, I want to say, Matyas said that's the scene. That's the one he is. There a scene that like maybe sticks out for you for some reason?
um so many. So again, it's gonna be
It's an unfair
difficult for
question.
me.
Listen, I'm asking you a lot of unfair questions. I realize that.
It is a little bit unfair, because it's like which of my children do I like the most, kind of question. It's like, I don't know. I
How about
like.
this? How about this? How about one of many special scenes that you're super? So there are many, I'm sure, but one
Yeah,
of that maybe comes to your mind, like right now. Is there any that come to your mind?
I really really love the scenes that I mentioned with Mora, who,
Yeah.
like,
Okay. Yeah.
extremely powerful. It's a single shot on her
Yeah.
standing, like, and it's just, I really love when the camera and the filmmaking doing is almost like doing nothing, just making sure that the performance is there. And like, this is like the simplest approach. And
Yeah.
there are these moments later on where, when the boys sit around and they have a discussion at night. And again, that's like what is beautiful with Sean, is that, he always chooses like the simplest, tools to create these scenes. And yes, those are the simplest tools, but if you can make a scene only using these simple tools, if you can achieve that, that's amazing. And that's
Yeah.
not the camera, and it's not the movement, it's not the cutting, it's not whatever. It's just that the performance is perfect. And
Yeah.
that's what Sean can achieve. And I'm just there to serve, to make sure that, we capture these performances the best way
Yeah.
possible.
Even like the cast that's like not super well known. Like I have an actor coming on tomorrow, Kevin Aston, I think his name is. He played Harley Race. Like
Oh yes,
he looks just like him. Like, oh my god. So I don't know. I'm super excited, and I'm really happy for you, Matthias. And I hope you come back on down the road. Like I'm so looking forward to this. I'm so looking forward to what your career has. I'm going to watch The Nest over the weekend. I promise. I
please do.
yes, yes,
That's Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, that is a beautiful, beautiful movie.
I feel unprepared not having watched it before we spoke, but I wanted to make sure you and I spoke, and I promise you, as a movie cinephile, I will absolutely watch it. And I'm cheering for
Great.
you, man. I'm cheering for the movie. I'm cheering for all of you guys. And thank you
Thank you
for this
so much.
time.
Thanks
Have a
a lot.
wonderful night. Thank you.
Thank you.